On this video, we will be solving quadratic equations. These are typical questions you might get in an exam where they give you a quadratic equation and you have to solve it. Let's solve the first one. We have x squared plus 3x minus 28 equals to 0. Solving this in an exam is usually worth 3 marks. All you need to do here is factor out. If we solve this using factorization, you need to find your factors for the expression. So write your two x's on each bracket. Now you need to look for factors of 28. When you subtract them, they give you 3. So we're looking for two numbers whose product is 28 and whose difference is 3. If this was a plus, we would say when you add them, they give you 3. So in this particular problem, our constant term, our c, is negative, so we want their difference to be 3. Our factors are 7 and 4, because 7 multiplied by 4, they give us 28. But when you subtract 4 from 7, you get 3. That is how we fill these in. So now we just need to fill in our signs. Whenever your last term, your c, your constant, is negative, means these two signs will be different. One will be positive and the other one will be negative. And the bigger number takes the sign of our middle term, our b, the coefficient of x. So in this case, the 7 is bigger than the 4, so it takes the sign of the middle term. So now we have x plus 7 is equals to 0. X plus 7 multiplied by x minus 4 is equals to 0. This means one of these is 0, because remember, when you have a product of two numbers, if a multiplied by b is equals to 0, it means one of these, if not both, is 0. Because the only way we would get a 0 is that a must be 0. 0 multiplied by anything gives you 0. Or b is 0, where even if a is a different number, if you multiply it by 0, you get 0. So in this particular expression, we have x plus 7 multiplied by x minus 4 is equals to 0. This means one of these is 0. So we have x plus 7 is equals to 0, or x minus 4 is equals to 0. That is what we have. And now when we transpose the 7 to the other side of the equal sign, we have x is equals to negative 7, or x is equals to 4, doing the same thing on this side. This is how you solve a quadratic equation using factorization. So we have solved the first one. Now we move on to the second one. A problem like this in an exam would probably be worth 2 marks, because this type of problem, we refer to it as a difference of perfect squares, where we have two perfect squares subtracted from each other equals to 0. So when you factor this out, you can use the same thinking behind what I did here. We wanted factors of 28. When you subtract them, they give you 3. In this case, our b in this equation is 0. So we want factors of 25. When you subtract them from each other, they give you 0. That is 5 and 5, because 5 minus 5. 5 minus 5 is 0. Remember, we said if our constant has a negative, like here, they will have different signs. So one 5 is positive, the other 5 is negative. This is just showing that using the same thinking we do the same thinking we apply when we're solving this kind of problem, we can use it to solve a difference of perfect squares. And then from here we end up with x plus 5 is equals to 0, or x minus 5 is equals to 0. This step is usually not worth any marks. be writing it down just so you can understand. So x is equals to -5, or x is equals to 5. That is how you solve a quadratic equation in an exam. It is much easier when the leading coefficient is 1, because we can always look for factors of 28. When you subtract them, they give you 3. That's why we had a 4 and a 7. Sometimes it gets a little complicated and they give you a problem like this in an exam. I know they love it more in a grade 11 exam because they concentrate more on quadratic equations. On your grade 12 exams, you don't usually get these complicated ones, but in case you do, we need to solve it. I'm gonna make a video where we are solving a quadratic equation where the leading coefficient is not equals to 1. So let's make a different video where we're solving this problem, and then we'll make the last video where we're solving a quadratic equation using the quadratic formula. I hope this video was helpful. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.